I really am. This is probably the least prepared I've been. But we're going to be all right. We don't have a heavy agenda, so there is another meeting at 5 o'clock that we need to, so before we call the meeting to order, I do want to just continue the party for Stephanie. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
We want to miss you. And please accept from the city of Meridian as our thanks.
Oh, that is very pretty. Thank you. That's super cute.
And
awesome. Love it. Oh, thank you. You guys are great. Thank you so much.
we'll still see you.
Yes.
It's for her too, but it's
Okay.
We will still honor your presence at the events committee meetings.
Yes. I will still be there.
Good. So I think we have a quorum now. I think maybe Jennifer should be here momentarily. So I think I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. And we have in attendance myself, Stephanie, Gretchen, Bonnie,
Yes, here.
Jessica. Or did you see? Jennifer will be joining us later, but we do have a quorum, so we'll go ahead and get started. I am going to, is there anything that we need to add to the agenda or change that you know of? It looks fine to me.
I don't think so, no.
All right, so we would have a motion then.
I move that we adopt the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Meridian Arts Commission is here to develop, advance, and nurture all facets of the arts to enhance the quality of life for Meridian residents and its visitors. That is our mission. And with that in our minds, we will go on with the rest of our agenda. We have the minutes from the January 10th regular meeting. If there's not anything to be brought up for clarification, we would consider a motion.
I move that we accept the minutes as presented.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And under new business, we have our annual presentation to City Council coming up, which is going to be, we've changed it a little bit. Hi, let the record reflect that Jennifer has joined us. And what we're going to have, I'll give you just a very quick rundown and watch your emails because there, can I just take account of who is going to be able to be there? It will be arriving here at a little bit before 5 on Tuesday, February 12th. So
I'll be there.
Jessica's going to be there, Stephanie, myself,
I should be there.
I'll be there.
Or is it
and
not?
Gretchen can't make it. So, okay, was Randy B. going to be available? Do you remember, Hillary?
Remember, I'd have to check the poll again.
Okay, so what we're planning on doing is Stuart Weiser is coming from the Idaho Commission on the Arts, and he's going to give, he will have his separate agenda item that will be right before us, but we should all be there for it, and it is a presentation with some statistics nationwide and locally that have to do with the economic impact of the arts on businesses and communities. It's a really exciting presentation. He came to our strategic planning meeting and gave it to us the other day just so that we could see it. And it's a great PowerPoint. There's some funny moments in it. So he will do that first. And then I will get up afterwards and just do I'm going to do a really quick bullet point of the highlights of the year, Art Week, Initial Point Gallery, Concerts on Broadway, the things that we've been doing. But what I will do in the beginning is I'll say who I am, thank council and the mayor for having us, thank Stuart, and some other thank yous. And then I will invite the commissioners to come up, and each of you will receive via email very soon, probably. I'll get to that tomorrow. Did you send out those facts, Hillary, yet? The fun facts?
Just sent them to the strategic plan committee. I didn't realize I was supposed to send them to everyone.
Nope, I just didn't want to be redundant. I'll just, because everybody will be assigned one statistical fact that came from Stuart. at the Idaho Commission on the Arts. And so you can just stand up to the microphone, introduce yourself, tell a little bit about what you do. If you want to talk a little, you know, say I have children, or you know, if you want to give a couple personal things, and then say, and did you know, and give your fun fact, so that everybody has a piece of the information puzzle, and it keeps it interesting, and they get to meet us as well, as many as can make it. So then I'll give a quick bullet point of our year and open the forum to any questions that they may have. So that's the way we're going to do it. Stuart's really doing the heavy lifting, and he's absolutely very, very compelling to listen to. He has a master's degree in ethics. He's a conductor, and so he's been the executive director of 2 symphonies and been around the arts for a long, long, long time. Grew up on the East Coast. So that's the way that's going to go. Did I miss anything? So is everybody comfortable with that? Stepping up to the mic and saying, hey, awesome. Very good. Anybody want to give the bullet point? Since everyone seems so comfortable. All right, so that's that. And next we have the spin art bike.
Yes.
Who wants to speak to that? Hillary.
Bonnie or Stephanie, would you like to, or would you like me to take over?
The spin art, it was something that we talked about for Art Week. And basically what it is using some sort of force to create like a turntable that will turn, and then people can drop bits of paint onto the spinning disc and create these fun little art masterpieces. And I saw this done at a couple of the large art festivals. One of them was in Salt Lake, and they actually had set up a stationary bicycle. And the organization that was doing this, they were actually charging participants to do a piece of art. But they would get on the bike and they would pedal it and bring the turntable up to speed, and the kids would sprinkle paint on there and walk away with they were actually putting it on old vinyl. And so they had walked away with this old vinyl record
Very
piece
cool.
of art. And it was a huge hit. So we had thought that would be a good addition to Art Week. And we're doing a little bit of research. There's a couple of different avenues. If you can't get a bicycle, you can actually fashion the force out of an old box fan. So there's a couple of alternatives, and I have put some feelers out to some people that are cyclists that.
Has Meridian Cycles participated in Art Week before? They're right downtown here.
Yeah, Hillary had contacted them, and then I have my son is a good friend of the guys that are at, I think it's Idaho Mountain Touring, that's on Cherry. And so he's in contact with them to see if they want to do something. So we might have some spin art.
Do you mind me asking, do you remember how much they charged per?
Oh gosh, I don't remember. I want to say it was like $5 a pop because it was for a fundraiser for an organization.
Yeah, because I was thinking we might be, I mean, I don't know how that works in our budget to be able to.
If the city charges anything, it has to be added to the fee schedule. And so you could do that, but there's quite a few steps that we have to go through beforehand to make that possible. If you wanted to, if you want to purchase a spin art setup or let a business during Art Week use it, and then they could raise funds by charging for that, they could do that on their own. It's just if the Arts Commission charged, we'd have to have a fee set up for that.
Just curious. I didn't have anything in mind, but I just wondered. Very good. So what are we looking for here today? Are we looking for an approval of this expenditure? Or
that was my impression, but I didn't realize that there was more research going on. So events and outreach committee members, do you guys want an expense approved for something like a spin art bike, or do you want to come back with your final recommendation and get approval then?
What do you think? Do you want?
I think we should, don't you think we should see what we can get with support from the community before we go into buying an $800? I think there's, some other alternatives that might be a little less expensive.
Let's research it. I think we've got time. So let's have that return to the agenda after we have a little bit more information. Does that sound fair? Okay, great. So any more questions about the spin art bike?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I don't have a question, but I did just want to point out, I don't know if it came up, the bike is not included. It's the attachment for the bikes. So we would still have to find a bike, either through one of the bike stores or someone bring their own bike
Okay.
to use.
Madam Chair, we
Yes.
also have the circulating bikes through the Blue Cross grant with the city that are available to use, so I'm sure we could make an arrangement to use those.
The city has bikes that we can check out, and Unbound, I think, had bikes before, but the city has bikes that are in a storage room, so we could always check one out.
Okay.
Okay. Awesome. So thank you. We will come back to this when we'll have a little bit more information. And so moving on to the strategic plan, I'm so sorry. Facilitator and associated grant application. Hillary, do you want to? That or Jennifer, you were working on that, I believe.
Yes, I regularly work with Idaho Commission on the Arts and people that are associated with them, and I've written several grants to them, and I know their processes pretty well. So when it came up that it would be wonderful to ask Delta James to oversee our strategic plan as we go through it so that we maximize our time and make sure we make the most of every opportunity. I've volunteered to write a grant to try to cover her fees for the most part. Is that clear enough?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So that, do we know what the deadline is on this? This is the monthly Fast Funds grant, right? Is that?
Yes, it's in March sometime. I haven't found the exact deadline. I think it's mid-March.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
My
For doing that. All right, so if there's, I don't believe we have any action we need to take on that. That was just informative. So moving on to.
Madam Chair, you
Yes,
do need
Hillary.
action. So if you want to authorize Jennifer to complete a grant proposal and submit it for that, the deadline is March 11th, and the Arts Commission doesn't meet again until March 14th.
Oh, okay, that's right.
So you would need to authorize.
So we need to authorize it today.
Yeah, so, or consider
before an
if
agreement.
you want to go with Delta James or this proposal that she submitted. And then I think that these grants are one-to-one matching grants. Yeah.
They are.
So it'd be a portion of your funds as well, but you have funds under the,
Development.
you call it, arts development, that I think that would fall under.
Good. So basically, we're looking at two action items then. We are looking to make a decision on to go with Delta James or to do more research that way. Will be the two options there. And then the other thing we're looking at is to approve that Jennifer goes forward to write this grant to cover the costs of.
Madam Chair, on the one-to-one match, the one-to-one doesn't necessarily have to be monetary on our part. It helps if it is to some degree, but it can also be the hours I put in writing the grant, what my fee would be, and any other things that we could consider in kind. So.
Oh, okay. That helps. That makes it clearer. Okay. Very good.
Time count too?
Yeah.
My question was, does Hillary's time count too? Sorry.
My time does count, but it's not advised by our finance department unless my job is specifically only one thing to do with the grant, because my time's so divided. I would have to not only justify my time spent on this, but the rest of my time on my other things to say this was other time worked not on.
All right, very good. Then we would consider, why don't we approach first the decision that we need to make about who we are going to choose as a facilitator? So we would consider a motion there.
Madam Chair, I just have a question. I know that this consultant focuses on this area. Have we talked to other consultants? Do we have a relationship with this consultant? Like, not being on that committee, I don't really know where that comes from.
Delta helped us with she was the person who facilitated our last 5-year strategic plan.
Okay.
And it was really helpful. She did a full day seminar, and I do like that she's familiar with what we have. And then so we do have a history with this particular consultant.
So the continuity could be beneficial, for sure. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the use of Delta James for assistance with our strategic plan development.
Is there a second?
Second.
Who wants to choose that second? Bonnie? Bonnie seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and so the second thing that we need to, are we okay? Everything goes, okay, good. So the second issue having to do with this action item is to authorize Jennifer to go forward with the grant process with the Idaho Commission on the Arts to help us with the funding for the facilitator. So
Madam Chair, that price seems really reasonable, and I may have contacted her myself. And if Jennifer is willing to do the work, it seems to make sense. Is there?
Okay.
Madam Chair, can I move that we authorize Jennifer to write a grant with the Idaho Commission for the Arts on behalf of our Arts Commission for the strategic planning consultant?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Well stated. Yeah. It's a good motion. That was a lot. Okay, so we also have the item update, the update from our most recent meeting, and I kind of basically covered it up earlier when I talked about the because we just talked about the presentation, and then we had, of course, we had Stuart come in and give us a practice presentation and give us some help there, and separated the agenda items. So is there anything else? And also the grant, I think we've really covered it.
That covers all the stuff from the most recent meetings. I did want to add, though, that I had mentioned that I'd like to invite Joe Borton to the next strategic plan committee meeting to talk to them about planning their future budget. So that's something that's coming up, but I don't have a agenda item for that yet, or agenda attached to this particular item yet. So I wanted to make sure you guys were aware.
Okay, and we need to have strategic planning committee. We need to find a date right at the end of the meeting so that we can go forward with inviting Joe. Good, thank you, Hillary. All right, so any questions on that item? If not, we would move on to the Public Art Committee report. Jessica.
I'll cover that. Hillary, could you open up the agenda so I make sure I cover everything? Thanks. So we discussed, I think we brought it up in a previous meeting, discussed the market sign from McFadden's, that old sign that is still hanging around, and we're still interested in doing something with it. So we discussed some ideas for what to do with it, but haven't landed on anything since. So we're going to table it for now and keep talking about it, because we do want to find a good use for it. Art in the halls, we addressed, so if you've noticed walking around City Hall, there's various art all over the place, and so we discussed, there's still plenty of wall space, and so we talked about how we're going to cover that wall space, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know that we decided on anything. Is that right, Hillary, with art in the halls?
Yeah, the committee didn't decide on anything, but it was going to be, I'll bring that up to the commission as a whole in March,
Okay.
so that you guys can talk about whether or not you want some budget for art in the halls to be considered to be in your FY20 budget.
Okay. And then parking day. So I don't know, this is something that is kind of, it's done nationally in a number of cities, if you guys have heard of it. So parking day is on September 20th this year. They do it every year. And basically the idea is to take over a street parking spot and create a sort of mini pop-up park. And lots of organizations do it to educate people about their mission or a certain issue that they're talking about. I think a lot of times it's connected to environmental issues, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. So we discussed the idea of the Arts Commission having a little parking spot somewhere in downtown Meridian and doing something fun and art related in September. So.
What day of the week is that? Sorry, what?
It's a Saturday, I think.
Oh.
Is that right, Hillary? Friday.
Cool.
So I think it would entail us, do we need to pay for the spot actually if it's a paid parking spot?
So Meridian doesn't have paid parking spots. We have limits for the time that we could be there.
Okay.
So I think most of them are 2-hour limits.
No pay.
And the original intent, I think, of parking day was to kind of like pay for the spot, put your park up, and then leave when your limit was up. So it would potentially be a 1 to 2 hour actual
That's
physically there. But I mean, that's prep time before and after as well. Yeah. So we wouldn't have to pay for a spot, but we'd have to be organized enough to move in, hang out, and move out.
Yeah.
Has there ever been anyone given a ticket on any of those parking? Get out.
Meridian's never, as far as I know, no one in Meridian has ever done parking day. It's something that the Public Art Committee talked about forwarding on to the Events and Outreach Committee. So I'll bring that up to you guys later, because there might be an opportunity to again get involved with downtown businesses. So like you could pick a place that they're not going to be mad that you're seeing a parking spot in front of their business, or potentially get other businesses involved with taking a parking space during the day and doing something fun with it. Yeah.
Cool.
And then the scavenger hunt, this was the public art scavenger hunt that we talked about incorporating into Art Week this year. So we talked about some more ideas for that in terms of what's the best way to engage folks in that, and if we award prizes, how do we do that? And so I think that was another one we were going to talk about with outreach. So it could be kind of a group effort with that. Yeah. Did we talk about traffic box art? I don't think we did.
I was not prepared.
Okay. And then maps planning. So we kind of went over, as we mentioned, we had two pieces chosen for the parks, which the mayor highlighted in her State of the City speech yesterday. That was exciting to see.
Very cool.
And then we'll also be releasing an RFP for Fire Station number 6. Or maybe I guess it has gone out already. So even though we're not quite ready to start building Fire Station number 6, we want to have the art picked out and ready to go, so that when they are ready to build, we could just incorporate everything together at the same time. And we're going to be working on an RFP for art at the 10-mile trailhead as well, which also is something that they're not ready for yet. But again, if we have the art picked out, then we can just put it in there when they're ready. And we decided, so we've got another meeting coming up in a couple of weeks on February 21st, and we're going to dedicate that meeting to discussing a public art plan and future project criteria, so that we can start really formulating a vision and an approach to public art planning in the future and how we want to go about that in town.
Awesome. Great, thank you. Thank you. Are there any questions, comments, compliments? Yes,
Madam Chair, the parking, art in the parking spot, why not consider that to be one of the day of the week things that during Art Week, to kind of as a precursor to some of the big events that'll happen on Saturday.
It's a good idea. Could we?
Well, I think the idea is because it's a national event.
Oh,
I
to
think
have it
it's
on the
something
day.
that folks
Is it a
do.
specific day?
Yeah, it is on September 20th, which, you know, it would be great if it was during Art Week because that really would fit in very well with that. But I think the idea is for folks all around the country to be doing it on the same
The
day.
same day. Could they move it to during our art week?
We could put in an
that a
appeal and
possibility?
see.
Let the record reflect that Randy B's joined us.
Hi, sorry I'm late.
That's all right.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Okay, thank you. So it would have to be then September 20th. It would be, okay.
We could do something like that during Art Week, I think, to promote,
Sure.
to promote it.
Yeah, we could do two. So, yeah, love it. Good. So any other questions? Points of discussion? If not, thank you, Jessica. And we are to the Events and Outreach Committee report. Who wants to take that one? Events and Outreach? Who would like to?
Poster competition.
Hillary, would you, Randy B., would you like to take that
Oh,
one?
sorry. Did we start at 3:30 today?
No, we started later.
We did, right? Okay, I thought it was crazy. I was like, wait, because on the 3:30 on here, and then I read it, I was like, oh shoot, never
Yeah,
mind.
We had a couple of delays, but
Yeah, my bad. Sorry, I just wanted to make it clear.
that's all right.
Okay.
It's all good. Hillary?
Yeah, I can cover this a little bit. So, the last Events and Outreach Committee meeting, one of the things that came up previously, as kind of a mention, was a poster competition for the event itself. Bonnie and Stephanie had found examples of other groups that have done poster competitions for their art festivals or for their concert series and the like. So there are examples out there of calls to artists that already exist for poster competitions. So we thought that could be a good way to get another artist involved. And then it also might, all the posters that I've made, I've tried to put information on them because that's how my mind works. But we can put information on the website and then have a poster that draws people to the website or to something else that exists. Not try to put all the information on the poster because it just gets to be too crowded and it's not fun to look at anymore.
It's busy.
So I believe we drafted a call to artists for that poster. But they will review that call to artists tonight and hopefully bring it back to you in March. We talked a lot about that actually, and the spin art bike. And then I had told them that I'd be presenting to the Meridian Downtown Business Association to kind of gauge their interest in how they want to participate in Art Week this year. I'll report back here, but I'll tell the committee as well. We had 4 businesses come up to me after that meeting and say that they were interested in displaying art as a passive display. It was Callie Zamzo here from the Feed Mill, a real estate agent that's off of Pine Avenue, 44 East, which is a decor and home goods company. They're off of Franklin at the moment, but they're moving in right next to that AR workshop down by Flatbread. And I'm blanking on the 4th one. There were 4 people that already came up to me. They were interested in housing art during the week. And the committee had talked before about really trying to organize for those businesses that are doing passive displays of art to have an art walk where we're organized saying this is art walk night to make sure that the artists have good exposure, right, for that evening, and they could be out there possibly on that evening. But it might just be a nice effort to get everybody together at once or during one night to kind of circulate around. We don't have to necessarily guide people from place to place, but at least to have the businesses open maybe specific times if they normally would close earlier, to have them open till 6 or 7 so that
And have
the
some,
walk could come in.
some focal points, some gathering places.
Yeah, and we can
nice.
map that out too, so people know.
That, yeah.
Did,
idea.
what am I missing, you guys? Can't remember. That's the big stuff.
That's it.
Is that it?
I think so.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Sounds like we've got a lot of Good ideas, especially lots of good stuff coming out about Art Week. We're going to be ready on that this year. That's going to be exciting. So, any more questions, discussion on events and outreach? If not, we would move on to old business, which we talked about the Mayor's Awards in the Arts, and at the last the last agenda planning meeting, Hillary and I asked her if she would be interested in that, and she loved the idea. So we're just coming up with a process of how to reach out, and but she's ready to go forward. So we could actually, what we need is a decision from us about whether we want to add that, and it would be part of Art Week. And then after that, we can come up with a way that we would go about finding our award recipients. So does anyone have any questions on that? If not, we would consider a motion. Or did you have something to add there?
I was just going to say, I don't know if we need a motion. I think what we would need is someone to draft maybe what that application or nomination form would look like. And then we could bring that back and have the motion be to approve that nomination form and release it in April. Is that what she was saying? Release
April. Yeah.
To make sure that we could catch kids that are still in school. So if someone's willing to draft an application form.
Does anyone have something that could be borrowed?
Coeur d'Alene has.
Or
Yeah, I think it's,
You could just use Coeur d'Alene's example and.
yeah, I think, let's look at what the Coeur d'Alene one was.
Okay, good. Can
I
we
read
put
that.
Okay, good. So let's go ahead and Bonnie will get that because you already have it, right? Yay. So we would need a motion then to grant Bonnie. How do I say
I don't think
that
we need
motion?
a
We
motion.
don't need anything.
We don't need a
yeah.
motion until she has a
So Bonnie,
form for us.
go for it.
Yeah.
There we go.
See what I can do.
Thank you. All right. And then we have the promotional video. Is Casey still working on that?
No. So we had talked before. We had two different ideas about what a promotional video would look like for MAC. And I told Casey about these two different ideas, and she pointed me out to a promotional video that she made for the Parks Department. So I wanted to show you guys that video. I don't know if anybody had a chance to see it beforehand, before this meeting.
What they showed at
They showed part of it at the
State of the City.
State of the City. Yeah. You guys, I won't play the music, but there's light generic music in the background. And there's like 10 features from the Arts Commission in this video itself. Casey said she also had videos from Art Week and stuff. There was some videos of chalk art, for example, included in the one that she showed yesterday. So this is slightly different than the one that was going on yesterday. And they did also interviews with people at parks. I don't know if we would need that or not, or if you guys would like that. But essentially, we were talking about how much it would cost to bring someone in that could produce a video for us, but Casey said they could make something like this for us in-house. If you guys are interested in that, I can ask her
I think that looks.
for interns to start working on that.
I think this looks great.
This is, I think, yeah, it's about a minute. We could go for about the same length.
What I want to know is who made the Undercover Ross video?
I think that was Shandy Lamb. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought the videos were excellent. If you guys have the ability to do it in-house and the capacity to put that in the pipeline, I think it would make sense to make that an actual request for communications.
Absolutely.
They were excellent.
Casey's only, when I first brought it up to her, because this conversation with you guys was a few months ago, she just said, can it be after State of the City? So,
Oh, yeah.
so now it's after State of the City.
Yes.
Ask her.
Barely.
And I think she has interns that might be able to help put some of this together as well. So hopefully she has the capacity. Did you guys have a particular time that you'd really like to have a video like this or use it?
I think, originally we kind of were talking about using it for the presentation, but we've kind of moved just to a picture montage for that. I think it'd be nice if we had it at least in time to advertise for Art Week. So if we could have it maybe a month before Art Week, we could kind kind of introduce it then as part of our advertising blitz for that event. Is there anything sooner that you guys can think? Jessica?
Well, I just had a question. I think it would be great if if the new art for the parks are installed in time. It would be great to have those included.
Oh, that would be.
I don't remember what the timeline is for those parks, but
Those both install in September, I believe.
okay.
Or late August and September.
Yeah. So that might not be in time for.
I wonder if we could get shots of even them fabricating some of the pieces for the
Yeah, that would
for
be
the
cool.
art. That could be cool, and then that would be
Oh, the
done
process.
in advance.
Mm-hmm.
Ken McCall for the Renaissance Park one, he let me come visit the studio once and visit the Journey of Heroes being built. So we might be able to make that arrangement somehow.
That'd be cool, and maybe interview the artists. Have
One of
just
the
a little
artists.
clip
That'd be
of
nice.
Yeah.
them.
So you guys want
especially since
interviews
they've-
too?
I think both artists have been involved in other
Yeah,
installations.
like that.
So
yeah. I
yeah.
think people would like that. It would make it more personal.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I love it. Good. So September looks like the timeline, and maybe we can, afterwards, we can always add the finished artwork, and that would be, even more compelling because you see the process, you meet the artist, and then you get to see the finished piece. So, yay. Awesome. So September. Then we have the reports. Treasure Valley Children's Theater summary.
Yes. I attached this for you guys so that you could view it. So that you could view it on your own. But anybody that's donated to the Children's Theater this year would have seen this personally as well. But since the Arts Commission supported them, I wanted to make sure to share it with you all also. If we haven't already said it on the record here, they have a new location off of Penwood, so it's just south downtown Meridian, not central downtown Meridian. And I went and visited it actually 2 days ago. So they actually have 2 classrooms in there, so they could do 2 classes at once, which I think is a first for them. They have never been
Nice.
able to do that before. But I just wanted to include this in your packet so that you guys had time or the opportunity to see the impact that the youth theater or children's theater is having here in the Valley.
Nice. I'm so glad they have a new spot, and I'm so glad it's in Meridian. They do serve the entire Treasure Valley, but yeah. Good, thank you. So the Alexa Rose Foundation workshop, I attended. Hillary was there. It was just so well presented. One of the person who presented, Lily, is a filmmaker, a female filmmaker, and she was a recipient of the grant, and last year and has since started to also work for the Alexa Rose Foundation, and it was very, very well attended. I thought it was really interesting. The question was posed: how many people in the room were from Meridian or from Boise, and it was a smattering of people. We had, I would say, about half from Meridian, and the rest were from the rest of the Treasure Valley. So Meridian is also drawing for some of these things from around the valley, and it was just very informative. I thought one funny moment was when Lily said, "Now spread the word," and I heard this guy say, "I'm not going to make competition for myself." So I was enjoying the entire experience. But yeah, that's just a wonderful grant foundation. I was really pleased with the turnout. And lots of good questions and interest, and they gave some interesting awards last year, and I'm sure they will do this year too. So that was nice to be able to help promote that. Does anybody have anything to add? Has anybody else been to another one of the workshops?
I mean, the most unique thing about that is that it's you don't have to give anything back to it. There's no repayment for it. I mean, it's totally self-serving.
Yeah, it is.
It's like
And-
amazing.
And they actually stressed that. They said this is about individual artists' development. They really, that's their mission. And they take it very seriously that way. So, very cool. Then we have the Initial Point Gallery. Who was?
I hosted that.
Okay.
And it was not very well attended. The opening, there was probably maybe a dozen people that showed up, mostly family. And but they did stay till 7 o'clock. So, But it's a beautiful show. If you haven't seen it, it's really unique. It's glass that's fused to board, and I don't know her process, but it looks like it's law of gravity defying.
Wow, very cool. I actually haven't been up to see it this month. I'll have to go upstairs. And we have moving on to D, the approval of the monthly expenses. We have it up on our screen.
Sorry, really quickly. This isn't monthly expenses. This was still from Initial Point Gallery.
Oh.
I still have a few
we have
blanks for hosts. So for anyone that hasn't signed up to host, or if you're interested in hosting another one, please sign up. Or potentially we could be getting 2 new commissioners, right? So we can ask them to sign up.
We can just say, and your month will be
But I just wanted to point it out that this isn't quite filled in all the way. So
September, October, and November. All right, I'll look at my schedule and see if
look at your
I can take
schedule
one of those times.
and fill in if you can. Okay.
Okay, so now we're to the monthly expenses.
And I'm sorry, I didn't include your summary, your traditional summary page again because it wasn't ready at the time I had to notice the meeting.
Okay.
So I went back to OpenGov. The link is the correct link now. You'll click here, and it will open up OpenGov. But I think it goes right to HPC on this left-hand side. So you have to click Mac. And then what I do is just click Transactions Actual, and this just shows only expenses. You guys did receive a number of donations in the last month from previous artists that have showed in the gallery.
Oh,
so that's great. Yeah, I think every artist last month made a sale, and
Good.
Lisa Bauer gave a donation back to the gallery, as well as Holly Badkey from, gosh, it was a while ago, but she finally made a sale. They'd seen it and they didn't ever pay her for it, so they didn't exchange it yet. So anyway, that sale came through, and so she donated as well. All of the biggest expenses that you'll see are the, what do we call it? The fee, or what we give to the proposing artists for their maquettes and presentations for the public artwork. So there should be 6 $500 expenses for that. Our Treasure Valley Children's Theater partnership came out in January as well. And then Pitney Reserve is our mailing postage, yeah.
Okay. Oh, dang it. 50 cents.
Dang, government.
Okay, thank you, Hillary. All right, and thanks for, as you're finding those items in OpenGov, is that for pointing out the process so that I like it when you do that, because then when I go in, I can, it's a learning curve for me,
replicate
and I
it,
can
yeah.
know where to go. Thank you for naming the steps as you're taking them. That's helpful. All right, so we do need a motion here to approve the monthly expenses. Unless
I move that we approve the monthly expenses as shown.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, and that brings us to the admin report. Hillary.
If you guys want to just read this, you're welcome to. I'll cruise through a little bit. Most of our exhibits now, as you guys know, have multiple artists in each month, but there are some exceptions, including this month and next month. So this month has Bonnie Alexander as the only artist, and next month has John Killmaster as the only artist. I heard a lot of rave reviews about John Killmaster, so if you guys don't know him, be sure to visit that exhibit. Again, thank you for being organized in your committees and getting all that to me. I want to follow up really quickly. We are going to have Concerts on Broadway related meeting tonight with the organizers from the Main Street Market, since there would have to be coordination with them if we wanted to have a matinee type of performance. And I know one of the concerns when we were having discussions about moving the time of the performance or the dates was that would we still have the same reach or same audience? And one thing that I tried to reach out and do was talk to the people at Touchmark at Meadow Lake, who in the past have brought busloads of their residents to come out and view the concerts. And they said that the matinee time may work even better for them than an evening start. that's reassuring, at least, that there's people that could still be making that matinee time. And over the phone, I talked to Cherie and Brittany from the Main Street Market, and they were in favor of trying to help facilitate what that change could look like this year as well. I also talked to them briefly about Art Week, since there are opportunities to partner with the Main Street Market for Art Week as well. I also want to make sure that we wouldn't be detracting from them if we did stuff on Saturday, because their day is Saturday. And the Events and Outreach Committee had talked about moving the chalk art competition and possibly having some artist vendors on Saturday instead of on Thursday or Friday. And they seemed totally in favor of that. And at first they were like, you need our sidewalk, you can have it, whatever. And I'm like, hold on. So I will keep them up to date as far as the Art Week conversations go, so they know what to expect, and so that they feel like they're an equal partner in that as well. I had asked them also if we could somehow get MAC, or if we could somehow just have I don't know how this trade partnership would look, but if we could have more artist booths in the Main Street Market for the Saturday of Art Week. And they want the minimum number of booths to one person during the year. They want to be 11 commitments. So we wouldn't be able to commit unless if MAC would commit all 11 booths for that one Saturday, but I don't know if that is going to fly with them. I think they want someone to be there at least 11 weekends out of their season, which is, I think, April through maybe early October.
Early October, I think. Yeah.
So I don't know how that will look, but they said they're willing to think about it more and figure out a way to make something work to get some artists out there. They do have some artists that participate on a weekly basis or on a regular basis. I was just seeing if we could overload it with arts that day. But I'll keep talking with them about that as well and see what else we could do or what seems like a good option from their point of view.
Very good.
The gist of it, yeah.
Thank you. Any questions for Larry? If not, our next meeting will be right back to our regular meeting time at March 14th. And we need to remember the strategic planning meeting. We need to find a date before we leave. And then we're to our favorite motion. Somebody wants to make it?
Madam Chair, I move that we adjourn.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Thanks, guys.